Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining this morning. I'm going to be starting here in just a minute. Grateful for sharing the message of what life. I've been putting out this message for some time now, several years. And I'm grateful that I'm finally getting to a place where I've locked in myself in terms of this life experience, healing, and being able to truly show up for myself and share a message of life to all of you. So I appreciate your subscriptions, your comments, your interactions thus far. And I do want to start doing lives on Sundays. It feels like a good day to really connect. And what I'm looking at doing in terms of the time that I'm here is a few things. I want to do some breath work with everyone, some visualization, and also just some questions and answers. I think that y'all are getting to know a lot more about me and just where I'm coming from in terms of supporting people doing life on life's terms. What does that mean? That means healing your emotional wounds. That means really developing a positive, healthy relationship with yourself. That means um, not being so hard on yourself, realizing that we've all been through a lot. And because of that, it's all trial and error. It's all trial and error, isn't it? There's no perfect plan. Many of us have been through a tremendous amount of adversity throughout life, and we don't always know how to ask for help. We don't always know how to change our patterns and behaviors and give ourselves permission to do that. So I do appreciate everyone that's been checking in here, all the subscriptions that have been going on, and just all the positive comments and feedback. It really does fuel me. It really does keep me going, keep me engaged in sharing this message. And I know that this message is not widespread popularity because of why? Why? Because it challenges people. It challenges the norm, especially in the manosphere, right? We still live in a culture of, suck it the fuck up and suppress your emotions and, man up. And I used to be very, very, very subscribed to that mindset. And what I realized is that underneath the surface, though, I was miserable. I felt like shit. And there was plenty of times that I was like this close, right, to taking my own life. And it took me hitting rock bottom. It took me asking for help. And that's a big thing, right? That's a really big part of my story was that I think through all the addiction, through all the self-sabotaging behaviors, I think that is how a lot of us try and communicate that we need help. We need help. We don't know how to ask for it, but we need it. And I finally hit my rock bottom. And in doing that, I had to realize that I needed to ask for help. I needed to set aside the vices, primarily my alcoholic behavior pattern that was formulated from the time I was probably like 15 years old. I was an alcoholic. I at least had those patterns. And I think that throughout the journey on the other side of the addiction, came a lot of therapy, came a lot of soul searching, and that's been over 12 years, and I'm still figuring things out. So, depending on where you're at in your healing journey, I just want to encourage you to be patient with yourself, give yourself the opportunity to try new things, and to not just give up if something doesn't work the first time or you don't get the result. I went through many, many, many different therapists to finally find a therapist that was like the perfect alignment, that I really started to get some traction. And I think that's the healing journey in general, is it takes a lot of perseverance, a lot of resilience, that it's easy to give up. It's easy to just throw in the towel and say, this is how it's going to be. This is how it is. And, you know, that's a frustrating place to be if that's where you find yourself. And so, if there is any questions that you have, feel free to ask them. I'm going to do some breath work, which is, a part of my one-on-one coaching sessions. It's really it's a ceremony. It's not just like chit chat and whatever. It's really a, a ceremonial process. And so I really do believe in the breath work. I believe in the visualization, and really doing those guided. And so, depending on if you're watching this live now or you're watching it on replay, I think that if you can show up for yourself, you will get something out of this. If you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious or depressed or angry, frustrated, unloved, lonely, any of the negative emotions, I think that if you participate, give yourself permission to do the breathwork ceremony and definitely the visualization, that everyone that I work with has always felt exponentially better on the other side. And these are some really basic tools that we can use in terms of doing life on life's terms. Because if you're anything like me, I had the addictive personality, and anytime I felt uncomfortable in my own skin, I would have to run to something and needing those distractions. And so I'm grateful now to be able to just be here in a way that's very authentic to myself, that's very real, raw, and open to learning new things every day. I kind of have that's sort of my mantra, is to say, try something new, do something for you, and then go do something for somebody else. And this is like something you could be doing every single day. In terms of how I kind of keep my cup full, which is a big, big piece of it, is fivefold. I mind my mornings, which is, mindfulness in the mornings. So that's starting every day, positive affirmations, journaling, breath work, meditation, grounding. Then it's eating your health, right? So nutrition actually comes before fitness. Something I fought against for years and years and years, man. VA nutritionist trying to convince me about the 80-20 rule, that it's 80% nutrition is what's going to get you into better health. Not realizing that I had an eating disorder, which was really not an eating disorder. It was unhealed emotional trauma. So you really got to eat your health. You really got to start being more disciplined about what you are putting into your body and giving yourself permission to make adjustments. I mean, I just turned 46 this past week, and it seems like the window of having to reevaluate my nutritional plan like shrinks to like every 4 months. Every 3 to 4 months, I'm having to like make tweaks to really dial in my nutrition because I want to be fit and lean for life. And I slayed my dad bod, and I am so thankful for that. I wake up and I feel like I'm 26 years old. You know, I'm more powerful than I've ever been. And I've made drastic changes in my nutrition. So mind your mornings, eat your health, move your booty, which is exercise. We need to incorporate exercise. And I highly recommend that you incorporate resistance training, weight training. There are so many studies out there now that truly show that as we age, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, that mortality is greatly impacted. Your heart health, your lungs, and your muscle. And you got to think about heart health obviously makes sense. If you're eating unhealthy, or if you're smoking, I mean, that's the number one killer still to this day is heart disease. Number 2 is cancer. Both of those, to a pretty significant degree, are avoidable. This is avoidable stuff. This is stuff that you actually are empowered to be able to make improvements in your health. But that's number 3, right? Is moving your booty, right? Is staying active, exercising on a regular basis. And it's not easy because so many of us are so hard pressed. Our lives are so busy. We have so many responsibilities that it's really hard to find the time or make the time to exercise. But I'm telling you, it is so important. You may feel like shit getting your ass into the gym, but I promise you, you will not feel that way coming out. You're going to really build that self-confidence. And it's important for longevity, right? To avoid a lot of health issues. And then number 3 is being a lifelong learner, or 4, right? So again, I'm going over my 5 principles for daily living, how to keep my cup full energetically. And you can obviously do this too. So I start my mornings with mindfulness, then nutrition, then exercise, then personal development. And that's just learning new things each and every day. I work with a lot of the youth, high schoolers, particularly in terms of enrolling in college, and they're beat down. And I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of people beat down. I was pretty close to being beat down by education and learning and the forced education. And yet, life is going to teach you harder lessons than any English, math, science class ever will, right? We know this. You know this if you're an adult. But yet so many people shut down on the learning. And one of the biggest places that we need to open ourselves up to learning is, can you guess it? It's you. We haven't really had time throughout our life to learn about ourselves. And I boil that down to like, what do you love? What do you hate? What do you want? And why? Why do you want these things? And it's probably a lot easier to say what you love, but the things that you hate, those things matter. And you got to ask yourself why. Why are there things that you hate to do? Some of you are going to say, I hate eating vegetables. Why do you hate eating vegetables? I hate exercising. Why do you hate exercising? Where does that really come from? Are you willing to go through this self-discovery process of understanding where do these limiting beliefs come from? Where do these limiting thoughts and beliefs and these resistance come from? I can tell you as I reflect on my own life, I was always resistant to things that were actually good for me. And I don't understand what the heck's wrong with us, but if you can relate, then that was a big part of my journey is I used to resist. I used to put down a lot of things that actually were beneficial to me. And as I've matured and grown and opened myself up to really trying things, to saying, you know what, maybe what if what I believe is wrong? Let me go find out. That takes a lot of courage, you know that? It takes a lot of courage for you to actually test your beliefs by opening yourself up to seeing what's on the other side of them. Where do they come from? Are your beliefs truly your beliefs? These are things that I've done through journaling over the course of many years. And I continue to allow myself to evolve. What about you? Are you stuck? If you're feeling like you're stuck as we're coming down towards the end of 2024, that a whole nother year is literally just blown right by you and you're still stuck, you're not really going anywhere in life, you need to give yourself permission to start doing some self discovery work, some self improvement, and to start to develop yourself and realize that you can redefine who you are. Because I believe that you're not only the author of this life, but you can be the editor. There's a lot of times that if you were to just write something down like what does love mean to you? And without searching and Googling and all this stuff, like I think you would be pretty blown away and shocked if you were to actually look at what your definition of love is. And the crazy thing is if you're in a partnership, an LTR, the chances are that the person that you're loving probably don't have the same definition. And this is stuff we don't really talk about a lot. But I can almost guarantee you that not two people have the same definition of love. Just like you don't probably have the same definition of success, failure, relationships, growth, life, death. I mean, to go through and really start like defining all this stuff is really the self-discovery process. Because a lot of times when I was doing this throughout my healing journey, I would write down these definitions like, what does love mean? What does failure mean? What does success mean? And I would read that and I'd be like, I don't know if I really identify with that. And that can be a really tough thing for us to think about is like, we're walking around with all these beliefs that aren't even our beliefs. We've been programmed. Someone projected it on us and we grabbed a hold of it and ran with it. And next thing you know, we don't even know what direction we're going on in life. And so right now is a great time to start to do the work, to really cultivate the relationship with yourself. And that's the mission that I'm on. And so I can see your comments. Welcome, you guys, those of you that are checking on here. And I just appreciate just everyone that's been commenting. There's been such an open and honest dialogue. And that's really the environment and the community that I'm wanting to spearhead and really lead. I think that the time is now that we need to start to have these conversations with ourselves and with each other, to do life on life's terms, to be open and honest, and to understand that there's a lot of emotional healing that needs to take place here. And that, especially for men, like, the manosphere of just suck it the fuck up, man up, boys, men don't cry, or, showing, your emotions. And for me, throughout my life, I always acted my emotions. Most men do. We think we suppress it, but they leak out. And usually if we don't heal our pain, our inner pain, that pain is going to hurt the people that we love the most. And that's usually where I found myself, was by myself, because I wasn't to be trusted. I couldn't trust myself. And it took many, many years of therapy and self-work for me to give myself the greatest gift, and that's self-mastery. Yeah, no, the greatest gift that I've given myself is self-mastery, and what I mean by that is I can trust myself now. Emotionally, I can trust myself to be in any type of a situation, and I'm not going to just react. I can now use words and communicate how I'm feeling. And even if that person doesn't accept that, that's okay. I validate myself. I'm grounded and centered on who I am. So that's the self-discovery piece. And then finally, I'm a big advocate for giving back, serving others, lending a hand. And that would be my fifth principle for daily living. So again, recap is mind your morning, eat your health, move your booty, learn every single day, and lend a hand. Right? Those 5 things, if you're doing at least 3 out of the 5, you're not going to be living life exhausted. I can guarantee you, if you start to incorporate this, and this is something I'm going to be teaching and guiding as a part of the Results Kill Excuses program and community. And if you haven't yet, you should check out the Results Kill Excuses app. There's 25 free courses on there with me coaching you through some really cool stuff. You know, I have the workbook here, the first 5. If you're really interested in doing some self-work, send me an email, resultskillexcuses@gmail.com, and I would honestly send you this workbook free of charge. But you got to be willing to do the work. And it's not easy work. And one of the, there's 5 courses, 25 lessons. And again, this is self-discovery stuff. This is stuff that most of us, we don't learn about ourselves. When have you ever learned about yourself? And yeah, the health piece is another thing, right? Like a lot of us think, well, health is just eating healthy or exercising, but we forget about the mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health, right? There's 4 aspects of our health for complete health: mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. And there's a lot of people out there that go, rah, 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 just work out, hit the gym hard, get in shape. But I know a lot of people that are in incredible physical shape and they're broken on the inside. They're broken. They're broken. They're avoiding that mental and emotional piece. I know a lot of people that are super, super spiritual, right? And they're physically broken. They're emotionally broken. Just because they have found connection with the divine, they're still missing this emotional self-mastery. And that is really something that I had tried. I tried to get into the spiritual community and figure that I can, fix it quick, right? The magic trick, that things would just fix themselves. And I realized that it didn't. I was still miserable. I still felt like I couldn't trust myself. And that's been one of the greatest gifts. So I think we have a pretty decent audience here. If you guys would want to join me in doing some quick breath work, I want to kind of lead some breath work here. And then if anybody is interested in asking some questions, I've had a few things come up that I want to discuss. One of them's relationships. how to overcome heartbreak, which in my own story, I had a 21-year marriage expire back in 2019, and I'm coming up on 5 years of divorce and kind of re-entering into relationships. I've had a few LTRs post divorce, and just experiencing what that's all about in 2024. It's challenging, to say the least, but it's really important that I'll cover that in a minute. Let's do some breath work. If you're listening here, and if you kind of have the headspace, I welcome you to just kind of shake it off, man. Shake off whatever you're experiencing right now. And this is part of the coaching that I do. So, just kind of give yourself some stretches, stretch your neck, and then just want you to start to like connect with your breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. Just slowly connecting with your breathing. You can hold at the top. And as you exhale, I want you to get all the air out so that when you exhale all the air, instantly and automatically without thinking, you're going to take in that next breath and take it in and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. And I want you to just be focusing on your breath. Let your thinking mind rest and just kind of sit there and just experience what that life force energy is coming in through your nose. Hold and out through your mouth. Let it all go. And I think that if you're carrying some stress right now, if you've got some things that are weighing you down mentally and emotionally, spiritually, physically in this day and age, that when you exhale, I want you to even exaggerate the audibility of it. So I will demonstrate. You're going to go in through your nose and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when you release, I want you to go, ah. And it may feel a little funny at first, but again, it's just releasing from within the depths of who you are, the burden and the energy. And I want you to just breathe in that life force energy, breathe in self-confidence, courage, strength, focus, clarity. And as you hold your breath, when you release, I want you to release your stress, your anger, your fear, your complacency, your bitterness. Just let it all go. Just connect with your breath. Let's do that a few more times. In through your nose. Hold. And just out through your mouth. More. Just let it all out. More. In through your nose. And hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. Get it all out. More. Let it all out. Get it all out. Let's do that one more time. In through your nose. and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale. More. Let it out. Let it all out. Let all that energy out. And I want you to just start to reconnect with your breath. You can close your eyes. I'm going to lead us through a short visualization exercise. And so if you just close your eyes, just reconnect with your breath. Just normal breathing in through your nose. Feel the coolness of the air, that life force energy entering into your nostrils and down through your lungs, out through your mouth, and just connect with your breath. I want you to picture yourself sitting on a bench out in nature. On a warm, sunny day. I want you to feel the warmth of the sun beaming down on your face as you just focus on your breath. Start to imagine yourself in this safe, tranquil, peaceful, beautiful place. Maybe you hear a cool, gentle breeze glistening through the leaves of the trees. Maybe you hear the sounds of birds chirping. Maybe there's a creek or a river nearby, singing its melody of flow. I want you to just continue to feel that warmth of the sun beaming down on your face. And as you feel the sun warming up your face, I want you to feel that warmth start to expand beyond your face to your entire head and your neck. And it just keeps getting warmer and warmer. Starts to expand into your shoulders and your arms and your chest, down to your abdomen. You just feel it getting warmer and warmer, moving that warmth into your groin, into your legs, to your knees, your calves, your ankles, your feet, your toes. And you feel that warmth throughout your entire body. And you start to imagine that warmth is getting closer and closer to you as you're sitting on the bench out in nature, feeling ever so peaceful. And that warmth, you can picture it as a orb coming towards you, and it envelops you. You are within the light now. The light is all around you as you're sitting there on the bench, ever so peaceful, ever so calm, just feeling a sense of gratitude, appreciation. You can feel the warmth of love coming from within. There's a love of thanksgiving that you're able to pause for just a moment to truly enjoy this time in space here. And that you're not alone, that there are others enjoying this as well. that we are all connected. And as you sit there in the warmth, I want you to imagine the 10-year-old version of you walking up to you at the bench. This young, beautiful child. You see yourself and you smile. And as you look at your 10-year-old version, this child has a message for you. And I want you to ask the child version of yourself what it is that they have to say to you. As the child looks at you, begins to give you a message. And as you receive the message from your inner child, I want you to thank them for appearing before you today. You can give them a big hug. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you see them, you hear them, and that they can come and visit to share a message with you anytime. As you allow for your inner child to depart, I want you to find yourself back on the bench, out in nature, to start to reconnect with your breathing. And you can put your hands over your heart center. I want you to try and connect with your heart, with the beating of your heart. And as you still yourself to allow for the beating of your heart to emerge in your conscientiousness, I want you to send a message to your heart. I want you to thank your heart for its strength, its resilience, its steadfastness, its ability to be hurt and continue on, its ability to heal, to care, and to love. And as you connect with your heart, I want you to go back into focusing on your breath, focusing on this place in nature. Allow yourself to start maybe wiggling your hands, moving your upper body, starting to reconnect with the space that you are in right now. And on the count of 5, you can open up your eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open up your eyes, maybe stretch out, smile, and give yourself some gratitude. Give yourself a hug. Give yourself a big hug, man. We don't love ourselves enough. We all have that inner child inside of us that's just so hungry for attention. It's so hungry for some quality time with you. I think that's what takes away so much of our joy, is that we grow up. Some of us grow up a lot faster than we would have ever have liked to. I know I was one of those. When I was 10 or 12 years old, my mom started her new family, and I wrote a story of abandonment. And as a 10 and 12, about a 12-year-old kid, I started making a lot of adult decisions which were misguided. And it led to a lot of problems. I made a lot of bad decisions as a little kid. And it caused me a lot of heartache and a lot of trouble that I wish I could have avoided. And so I had to grow up really fast. And so throughout that, I realized that I kind of circumvented a lot of maturity that wasn't able to naturally evolve. Because I grew up so fast, the adult version of myself was very immature, was very childish. And a lot of that just had to do with the fact that I had experienced a lot of trauma through ages 0 through 10. And I had a lot of emotional wounding. And it wasn't until I was like in my about 41 years old that I woke up after a 21-year marriage expiring, having the biggest pity party of my life, saying, who am I? Who's going to love me now? Because in my 30s, I was already like thinking it was all downhill from there. It seems like there is a belief out in this world that somehow, it's just, maybe it was because I grew up too fast, lived real fast, that I kind of told myself in my mid-30s that when I was married and had family and had success, that it was all downhill from here. And it's like, that was the biggest lie ever. Such a distortion of reality, because I'm 46 years young now, and I interact with people in their 60s, 70s, and beyond all the time that are super active, out hiking mountains and lifting weights in the gym. And I find so much inspiration from people at those accelerated years of age that are just still getting after it. And it's like, is a 70-year-old just as active as a 30, 40-year-old? Probably not. But the fact that they're still out there doing life, I mean, that tears down a lot of people's limiting beliefs, thinking that, I'm 40, I'm old, I'm 50, I'm old, I can't do that no more. And it's like, it's all lies. That's all lies. And that's where we can truly two things. You can carry around a lot of shame and a lot of guilt because when you realize that you're lying to yourself because people are out there doing things that are so different, that are actually in total contrast to your beliefs, you can carry around a lot of guilt and then just like try and ignore it. Or you can be of a growth mindset and you can be inspired by that and to realize that it's okay that you were wrong. Many of us are just afraid to be wrong. That's a really primal thing. Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now, talks about, if you're someone that's ever, and I'm super guilty of this, has to always fight to be right in an argument, right? That it's literally from this primal sense of, ancient times that to be wrong literally was death. And it really that need of always having to be right, that even when we know we're wrong, we still just deceive ourselves to believing that this is as good as it gets. This is, the hand I'm dealt and woe is me. And it's like, no, you're not helpless. You can absolutely turn around your life. You can redefine every aspect of who you are as a human being. You can, you have that power. You absolutely are good enough, and you have that power right here, right now. There is zero doubt in my mind that you can literally have a dream today of this next level version of yourself. And you've probably had this dream for years and years and years, and yet you just don't have the the drive to get after it because you lack the belief, you lack the confidence, the worthiness that you can become it. You can become anything. If you have a vision in your mind, then that vision is showing you what you are capable of. And definitely it's going to challenge your beliefs. It's going to challenge you because who you are now can't be that person. You have to give yourself permission. And this is one of the biggest shifts is in order to give yourself permission, you have to grieve. There has to be a state of grief there. And extreme ownership to say that you've kind of let yourself down. And it's okay. That doesn't make you a failure. But if you truly want to change your life, your circumstances, then now is the time. The future will never come. It's now. And for those of you that have shown up for this session, I mean, I'm offering you guys an opportunity right here. Results kill excuses. Type in those 3 magic words into the app. And there are 5 lessons, 5 courses with 25 lessons for self-discovery. And this stuff ain't easy, but the way that the app works is you need a printer, but you can print out all the worksheets, which is cool. I mean, this is kind of the fun part about it is that the way that I've designed self-discovery work, it is a throwback to like when we were little kids and the teacher said, do you want to write an essay or do you want a vocabulary worksheet? I was always like, I want that worksheet. So I've literally created journaling, self-discovery work into throwback worksheets. This one here is hurting people hurt themselves first. What's beneath your surface? And so on the app, it has me with a video that you should watch. They go together, right? The worksheets and the videos. You can't do the worksheets without watching the video. You need the guidance, the coaching, and kind of me setting the intention of what you should be getting out of this worksheet. And on top of that, you usually have a reflection prompt, which is more of the traditional scripting journaling. And so I'll put this out there right now. If you download the app, send me an email to resultskillexcuses@gmail.com and make a commitment that you're willing to do these courses, because I would love to get your feedback. Then, what's up, my brother? I will send you a free workbook. Did you hear that? I will send you this workbook for free. It's already printed out. You can print out the worksheets. They're there. You can literally print from the app. But if you would like for me to send you one of these beautiful workbooks because you are committing to putting in the work, this is over a month's worth of journaling exercises. That's my gift to you. That's me giving back. And so one of the questions that I've been getting, and if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer. I'm also letting you know if you're watching, thank you so much for staying tuned for, we're almost at an hour, and that's awesome. I'm going to commit, as I see 11:11, to start doing the live sessions on Sunday mornings about 10 o'clock. And so I'm committing to that. That's my commitment. I'm asking for you to commit to start doing some self-discovery work. And if you can't just do, I think like what Anthony's talking about is just journaling, like, man, that's what I started with. Straight up right here. Journal. It ain't nothing fancy, it's just the doggone 5-star notebook. But if you want something that's more guided, right? Download the app, send me the email, and I will send you this for free. I think I'm charging 65 or $55 for it. And I think that that's what's going to, at least, what will you get, right? That's what a lot of people, what's in it for me, right? So what does it say right there? Self-discovery, first 5 courses. Having gone through all of these 25 lessons packed into 5 uniquely designed courses, you should have a lot of momentum and hopefully some breakthroughs in terms of really setting yourself up, because here's the evolution. You're going to go from usually self-sabotaging, self-medicating habits to, once you start saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're going to get into some self-discovery, and that will eventually lead you to self-mastery. And I do appreciate you joining with those visualizations. And that's a part of my one-on-one coaching, is we get into some pretty deep breath work and visualization. And some of y'all might need that, right? Some of y'all might need one-on-one sessions, and I'm available for that. You can reach out to me too, resultskillexcuses@gmail. And so, but I'm going to be offering it here as well on Sunday mornings at 10. I'll get more organized in terms of putting out notifications and just really doing my best to be a guide for you, a resource to help encourage and facilitate people healing. And I do believe that we do have the power. You have everything you need right now to heal. As I just saw 555 pop up. I mean, that's the number of change. Your time is now. And it really just takes that mental shift to believe that you're good enough. And the journaling does help with that. I've even switched from I do start my journal every day with like gratitude, but I don't even write the gratitude anymore. There's a really powerful book that I'll recommend. It's Rhonda Byrne. She did The Secret. It's called The Power. And in there, she's talking about love. It's all love. Everything. Nobody exists. All of us are here because of love. Everything that you have, it was because of love. This technology, the microphone. Someone loved engineering and audio so much that it took them loving to create that. You to be on this planet took love. And so it's a powerful book, but I've shifted from just writing I'm grateful or thankful for to I say I love, right? I love nature. I love being healthy. I love being financially secure. I love being um free. I love spending time with my children, right? I love drinking coffee. I love working on myself. I love giving back to other people. I love helping other people. I love being generous. And it's powerful when you start using the love. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's great to hear the feedback. And that's been one of the most encouraging parts of just putting the message out there. I've evolved a lot. If you look back, way back on the channel, I was angry. 2 years ago, I was celebrating my 10-year sobriety, and I was just coming off of a hard breakup, a long-term relationship. It was a twin flame type connection. And whoo, man, I was angry. I was angry. You could just hear it, right? I was angry. I put out a message, but I know I was just an angry guy. I was hurt. I was heartbroken. And I had to do something that I hadn't done before in the past, which was I needed to go into an extended season of singularity, of separation. And so some of us, separation is like being apart from other people, but separation is meaning you can separate yourself from your current situation through some separation, through some isolation. And it doesn't have to be like in totality. You don't have to just like run away or hide from everybody. But I do know that but you can do it in micro doses in terms of making a morning routine a possibility, creating an evening routine to where you're able to like chill out and spend some time with yourself, really doing this reflection work, doing some healing work, getting to know who you are, what do you love, what do you want, and why? Who can you become? Who have you been? And accepting that maybe you haven't always been your best self, but also knowing that you have a choice right here, right now to improve, to be better, to be a better version of you. You can give yourself permission to change. Just because you've been lazy and complacent and full of negativity, you can absolutely change to a very loving, kind, gracious, happy person. But it has to come from within. It's an internal journey. It all starts on the inside. You can't, you know, anything from the external will only last for a little while. It really does take waking up each and every day. And so when I started the message, I was angry, and it's been beautiful to even just see myself evolve, right? To really evolve and to start to communicate with my true voice. They call it your natural voice, your true voice is just when you're able to just allow it to flow, communicate, say the things that truly align with your truth. And I think that that's probably one of the most difficult things to do because there's a pretty good chance that you have to be a certain person at work, you have to be a certain person at home, you have to be a certain person with your social group and this and that. And the sooner that you can get to your true self, right, then that person can be accepted in all places. And even if you're not accepted in a certain environment, then that's rejection is protection. And that's a really sometimes that can be really difficult, especially if we have abandonment wounds, especially if you have a major need, and we all do as humans, for acceptance, for belonging. We all want to belong somewhere, but how many times are we willing to sacrifice ourselves to be accepted by a certain group of people or a certain person that we'll literally abandon ourselves? That's so painful. And so in terms of some of the questions that I've had, especially about relationships, I know a lot of people are struggling with heartbreak right now. And so I wanted to touch on that. And if any of you have any questions, feel free. Thank you just so much for kind of checking in here and tuning in. And like I said, I'm committed to making Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time a regular to start, on top of just the daily videos and the shorts and just all the content. I'm also planning to start to engage the community privately through the app, which is another opportunity, for us to kind of get away from some of the social media distractions and really just start to cultivate this like-minded community of people that are just so focused on bringing out the best of who we are and then sharing that with others and using that as motivation and momentum to make this world a more harmonious, beautiful place and to help heal this planet, heal. And it starts with healing ourselves. And that's healing the emotional wounds, healing the trauma, releasing that pain in a healthy way. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. I do feel like this is my calling, and I do feel that I am sent here from the creator, from God. Yeah, I'm thinking, at some point, Anthony, in the near future, there will be retreats. I mean, I have one of my biggest passions is, if any of you are familiar with like overlanding, I have a big vision to travel all over the country, whether it's going to schools, retreats, or hosting our own private conferences. One of the biggest passions that I have is hiking and being outdoors in nature and getting in hot springs, getting in cold water, and just, connecting with nature, being wild out in the wild. And so definitely a part of the bigger plan. Step one is to introduce myself. Step two is to attract the people that are ready to hear this message and to put in the work. And then step three is to start to connect, right? And we're going to connect here virtually at first, and then absolutely in person in the near future. So yeah, just I appreciate that. Just be praying for that and be a part of this community so that we can make it happen. Share the message, get the word out. This is not a popular message. It's not. There's the masses of people are still in denial. They're still caught up. We're still so distracted and so consumed by all this stuff. And it's really, we're just seeking relief in all the wrong things. That the work is really just being ourselves and with other people that understand that. And I'm someone that has learned this along the way. And I'm so grateful to be able to be sharing this message and speaking life into you guys. Really coming from a place of authenticity, knowing that, man, I've been through so much. And I'm so proud of myself that I didn't give up, you know, after hitting that rock bottom moment over 12 years ago, which was what finally got me to break up with alcohol, which was my biggest vice. You know, I had started alcoholic patterns and behaviors by the time I was 12, and I was pretty much an alcoholic by the time I was 15. And it just continued to perpetuate itself throughout my adolescence into my early adulthood, my time in the military. Happy birthday to all the Marines out there. I was a US Navy corpsman, FMF with the Marines. Hoorah. Can't forget the devil dogs out there. And you know, that culture was huge on alcohol, and then just my own, you know, self-destructive patterns. And so in terms of relationships, I've had a lot of people ask, you know, especially if you're coming off heartbreak, like, how do I get over somebody? How do I get over that? Well, first you got to realize, just like any people can be addictive, just like any other substance. We can become addicted to a person. And so it depends on how long you've been apart from somebody, that there's a few strategies there. Like, if you're less than 6 months out of a relationship, I think that the most important thing is for you to really be working on yourself, to really be doing this self-discovery work, to really be trying to get to, you know, understanding. If you look back on your most previous relationship, I think it's really important for us to do two things. It's to ask yourself, what could you have done different? And what are some of the things that you did do right? We can't just beat ourselves up. So it's good to kind of look at both sides of that. What are some of the things that you would have wanted to have done different? And what are some of the things you felt like you did good, that you have improved on, that you're seeing that these are good things that you're doing? Even though the relationship failed, you know, there is some takeaways from it. What are some positive takeaways from the relationship? Then I also think that, again, less than 6 months, that you need to give the relationship a definition. You need to define it. Was the relationship, and again, they say there's 3 types of relationships, that they're either for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Clearly, if it has expired, you're probably, well, what was the reason or what was the season? And so I like to look at the relationship as a whole and say, was the relationship transformational for you? Right? If you just get caught up on the lack of connection and intimacy and pleasure, then that's not empowering, right? Because you're sitting there with scarcity and you're mentally suffering because, again, if there was an addiction to that person, um, you're going to go through withdrawals. And that's not an easy place to be. Come on now. It's not easy. It's not easy to go through withdrawals, missing somebody. and it's okay to miss somebody. But you also need to realize how can you give it an empowering definition? And then what do you need to work on? I think that's for yourself. If any of you have ever heard of this exercise where you write down, right? Define who your dream partner is. Like, define that person, right? Are they intelligent? Are they healthy, athletic, um, sexy? They're a good cook. Like, you write down all of these things. And then they always say, like, once you have totally vetted that down, you got to become that. And so, usually, all the things that you think you need from somebody else, it's really important that you become that person because like attracts like. And so, that would be like less than 6 months is like, there's plenty of things that you can start working on yourself. A lot of people, they just want to, I mean, there's two ways to do this. When I came out of my divorce 21 years, I probably got it. I feel like in hindsight, I got into dating a little too soon. And that was a trauma response. That was an abandonment response that I've now can can see clearly. However, I can tell you that I needed the boost of confidence because I was so down on myself. Because I had a pattern of codependency and enmeshment in relationships, which means that I was willing to abandon myself for this person. I was willing to allow them to put the weight of their happiness on my shoulders, which is totally toxic, major red flags. But I was willing to do that because I had abandonment issues. And so I jumped into some relationships pretty quick, but I was in a pretty bad place mentally. I mean, I was, whoa, who's going to love me? Woe is me. I'm 41. I'm old. I wasn't in that great a shape. I had kind of gotten complacent and let it go. Even though I was starting to turn the corner with my health, I was pretty down with self-confidence. And so those first few people that I was able to date, it did build my self-confidence, which I think was important. It got me off the mat. But I do think that if I show you the picture real quick, is less than 6 months, I think that it's really important that you work on yourself. If you're someone that's just branch swinging, you're going from one relation to the next, well, I would really caution that you're using people. You're a people user. You're addicted to using people. Because if you have a pattern of like, you can't really keep a relationship long term, then there's some stuff that you should probably be working on there. And again, there's really like four types of attachment styles in relationships. You have anxious, avoidant, you have disorganized, which a lot of people don't hear about, but that's kind of a combination of avoidant and anxious, where it's like, go away, no, come back. you know, and then there's secure. And secure is like non-stick, non-attachment. It's healthy. It's allowing there to be some freedom and flexibility. It's allowing yourself to be you and not having to change who you are for that person to keep them around. And I didn't know anything about that until I went through the divorce and the dating, and I got into my first long-term relationship post-divorce, that it opened up my eyes. I learned a lot of lessons. I learned that while I was in my marriage, I had taken a lot of things for granted. I had stopped being my wife. And I had a lot of regret towards that. I didn't have an ugly divorce. It wasn't like this fist fight thing. I mean, it was really peaceful, mutually amicable. We're great co-parents still and working, we're still improving the relationship between us, but it wasn't an ugly divorce. It was a needed separation though. And so I realized that, I could have done a lot of things different. I definitely, over a few decades, had taken a lot of things for granted, and it wasn't really part of my truth. Like, I am a romantic guy. I do like, um, dating, and I realized that I had stopped dating my wife, and that was a big mistake, and that's something that I wouldn't make that mistake again. And I realized what it took, to sweep a woman off her feet, getting back in the dating scene. But I also learned that the women that I had been in relationships with throughout my life, and this is going to be a real big um, vulnerability on my part, but it's something I'm very confident with because I understand myself and I understand the traumas and the emotional wounds that I've healed. Is what I realized is that from the time I was 10 to 12 years old, when I felt like my mom had abandoned me and started another family, is I was always trying to find my mom in the women that I dated. And that's not the way it's supposed to work, right? As a man, you want a woman to love you for the man you are. You don't no woman can be your mom. But I had those wounds. I had those mother wounds. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that could probably relate if they're honest with themselves. So I realized that I was constantly trying to find a woman to fulfill the little boy wounds inside of me. And since I've healed those wounds, I've healed the trauma, and I now feel safe and secure for who I am. I can validate myself. I feel whole and complete. I now seek a woman to fulfill the needs that I have as a man. And that's a huge shift. And it takes a lot of work to get to that place. And that's a lot of work that I've done. That's why I understand the toxic attachments within relationships, the makeup to breakups shit that goes on. That's a vicious cycle. That's toxic. And yet so many of us will tolerate that. That's not what a healthy, secure relationship is. And it's not saying that a secure relationship doesn't have disagreements. It's just in those disagreements, there's not disrespect, there's not put downs, and there's an ability to know how to heal the ruptures, right? How to get back to that safe and secure place with mutual respect still intact. And so the less than 6 months approaches, you really got to work on yourself. And it's mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health. Right? Really working on yourself, healing your childhood trauma. And that you're going to need some professional help. I say it even in the app, even in the Results Kill Excuses work. Like, this is not medical advice. This is a self-help approach to healing. And I do believe that we have the power to do that. But everyone's been through some shit, some really heavy duty stuff. And I highly recommend it. I still go to therapy once a week. I literally just came off of going twice a week. And a lot of people are just so shut down by therapy. But I need talk therapy. I won't do the pills. I don't do any kind of medications, nothing like that. I've always told the doctors, life on life's terms. I just want someone to talk to. I just want someone to vent to. I just want someone that can hear me, see me for who I am. And again, a lot of people try to indoctrinate their family members or their friends to be their therapist, and it's like no one is qualified to be your therapist, to be able to hold your emotional situations without having some bias there. And so I really do highly encourage that as a part of your recovery from heartbreak, relationships, anything, like getting some professional medical help. And does that mean every therapist could be the right therapist? No. But you should try and try and try. It's like it's just like dating, right? You gotta maybe go to 3 different ones to find somebody that's good enough, that's aligned with you, and that you feel real comfortable with. And so if you're over 6 months and you've been putting in the work and you're still just feeling lonely and heartbroken and stuck on this past relationship that you wish could have been different and isn't different, well, I think it's after 6 months that, if it's probably a good opportunity for you to sort of reemerge. And I think you reemerge first platonically in a social setting, right? Start putting yourself into more social environments, things that you enjoy doing. And then secondly, I mean, I think you could start to open yourself up to reconnecting romantically with people, right? If it's right for you, if you're feeling good. Now, I can tell you throughout my own experience coming off of this heart the relationship post divorce, like after 6 months, I came up and I started to connect with some people and, through my own evaluation of sort of vetting that person, I could tell that they were working on themselves too. Because again, I believe in the law of attraction, like attracts like. And it was like they were doing good, but I could see it was a reflection of myself that I still had work to do. It wasn't quite what I was ready to stop. I wasn't I realized I still had a lot more work to do. And so the quality of person was getting a lot better. But I said, "No, let me go back under and start putting in more work." And so, another 3 months go by, came up again, better person, little better version. And, you know, but I still was like, nah, I don't know. This still isn't this. I wrote down the type of person I'm looking for, and they're not hitting all those things. And there's, some people believe in that what you write down is something worth waiting for, and other people say, well, you got to compromise, and that just whichever one of those you want to believe is fine. You can either hold out and wait for the right person, or you can say, well, they're just about the right person, and you won't know until you actually try it out. Try out the relationship. See if the compromise is something that you're willing to live with. And so that was sort of the evolution, but I continue to work on myself each and every day till this day. It hasn't stopped. We haven't stopped working every single day, a little better, 1% better, and just continuing to live open and honest with myself, knowing that I make mistakes every day. But does that mean I'm a failure? No. It just means that I am going to take extreme ownership, learn from my mistakes, know that even if someone is telling me something that is hard for me to hear, I'm going to at least hear it and see if there's a way for me to apply some of what they're saying to make me a better version of me. So that's a big part of the relationship thing. When you just love somebody, I don't think you ever fall out of love, no matter if they've caused you pain or betrayed you or whatever led to the falling out. I mean, if you really love somebody, man, you've had your heart fucking tore and broken. I don't think you ever, I don't, I think it's okay to not to not, you don't have to not love that person or go from love to hate. I think I've I've had a handful of women that I've loved, and I'll always love those women, right? It's not like, "Oh, well, I don't," they hurt me and somehow it's different. No, I mean, I think love is something that should never die. But I also think that if we've been hurt in love and we're still grieving somebody and the loss of somebody that we were attached to, that we had potentially, this may be a new terminology for you, but it's called a trauma bond. If you have shared a trauma bond with somebody and the relationship didn't work and you're still addicted and you just can't get them out of your mind, I definitely think some professional help would make a difference. But I also think that, again, if you're less than 6 months, keep working on yourself. If you're over 6 months, you need to start opening yourself up to some new connections. Platonic first, then romantic, and just see where you stand. Give yourself permission. And what you should stay is optimistic. Be optimistic. What's up, Julian? It's good to see you, my brother. Thanks for joining. It's staying optimistic to know that you deserve. If you're willing to become a better person, then guess what? You deserve like an incredible love. And if you are somebody that is continuing to evolve and improve who you are as a human every single day, then like you're gonna attract a better partner. Today, you'll attract even a better person tomorrow, and so on and so forth. And that's what's beautiful. But we have to give ourselves permission to let go. And some of this stuff is spiritual, you guys. I'm not gonna lie. I've had to do some pretty interesting spiritual stuff. Like, I don't want to get too much into the weeds on this session because we're running long, and I've just really appreciated all the interactions. It's good to see that, the community is showing up. But I've done everything from the Akashic record clearing to a cord cutting ceremony. And I think that both of those were extremely helpful in moving forward with my life. And it's one of those things, I'm not someone that always writes off people, but sometimes you'll say, okay, if you've lost somebody, what happens? Like, imagine, you're facing east and they're facing west, and you guys start going in opposite directions, right? And just getting farther and farther and farther and farther and farther and farther apart. What eventually happens if you're facing opposite directions and you keep going farther and farther, farther apart? Eventually, if it's meant to be, you smack dab face to face again. But, some of that is, hopeful optimism, and other of it is just saying that you may meet a different version of them in the future, and that may come in the form of another person that is actually better for you. But you have to be willing to give yourself permission, right? I think the heart can be deceptive because you have to get to the root of the pain. Was it a trauma bond, right? Is there still some emotional trauma healing that you need to work on in yourself in order to realize that, you don't have to be alone? And there are so many people on this planet that if you put yourself out there and you're willing to try and you're willing to work on yourself and truly write down your dream person and become that person authentically, you'll find somebody. Someone will find you. It'll happen. It'll happen a very miraculous way. And I believe it. And I'm just praying that over you. With that being said, I think if anybody has a question, I can answer that. I do appreciate some of the conversation here. The alcohol, any addictions, man, any addictions. We could be addicted to people, alcohol, drugs, porn, shopping, gambling, video gaming, negative thinking, um, social media, sports and entertainment. I mean, there are so many dang distractions and addictions in this day and age. And anytime that you need to break up with something that literally is starting to control your life, meaning you can't function without it because of the codependency, because of the habits and the patterns that you're putting out there, it is tough. And so one of my recommendations for that is that when you really are ready to break up with that thing, you have to have a plan to fill the void with something that's stronger than that, that's more positive than that. And that takes a lot of work. I'll point back to the F journal, or the first 5 courses. One of my favorites, but it's definitely the hardest, is the course Breaking Up with My Addictions, right here. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. You got to really, really, really want it. And so that course alone, you got to sign your name on, I think it's page 2. Yeah, day 2, Breaking Up with My Addictions. You got to choose your sobriety date. And this can be any addiction. You could break up with, gaming. You could break up with shopping, over eating, food, unhealthy food. It's not just drugs and alcohol. So you can plug in anything there. Yeah, the heartache is the hardest, man. It's one of the hardest for sure. Especially if it was like if if it was the real love, man, oh man. Man, oh man, yeah. It's a tough one, Anthony. I definitely agree with you, bro. But I'm grateful that I did give you guys some new things to work on. Set a reminder for this time next Sunday, about 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And again, we've run like about an hour and a half. I'll stay on here for however long I need to. I want to continue to feed and to sow into the community here, and I'm really grateful for those of you that stuck around. If there's any questions that you have that you'd like to have in private, reach out to me, resultskillexcuses@gmail. If you haven't, download the app. If you would commit yourself to putting in like a month's worth of work in the 25 lessons that are on the app right now, I will send you a workbook if you send me your address. And again, just continue sharing this message. I appreciate that. I think that with your help, we will reach more and more people, because again, this message is needed, but it's not popular right now. It's not popular, but it is needed, and it is the time. So I just want to thank everybody for showing up today, for being here. I hope that you have a beautiful rest of your day. Spend some time out in nature, right? Spend some time just reflecting, checking in with yourself, right? Writing down some affirmations, listening to some affirmations, right? Looking at what your morning routine should look like. And thank you again for tuning in. I love you guys. You know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg's out.